Hey, beautiful souls, beautiful sunshine here with DR Holistic Healer, aka Sonia B. I am back with another prophetic message. For those of you who are new to my channel, I just want to say welcome. And for those of you who return it back, I want to say welcome back. Keep in mind that these energies could have already happened to some, just depends on your location on the planet. And some of these energies are happening to some, take it how it resonates. If it's not happening to you, could be happening to somebody else that is around you, co-worker, boss, supervisor, mom, sister, brother, cousin. Take it how it resonates, dad, whatever. Take it how it resonates. But anyway, so for those of you who do not know, I am a Reiki master teacher. I'm a Reiki practitioner. I am also a Hayoka, clairvoyant Hayoka empath who receives divine prophetic dream messages. I'll also receive intuitive messages as well as intuitive messages through music as well too. And I also have other spiritual gifts as well too, but I don't necessarily include those, but I'm grateful for those, but I don't necessarily include them. But anyway, so with all that being said, let me get into the message. The very important message that I was referring to yesterday, I'm gonna save that one for last, but I'm gonna do these other ones real quick. So there was a message that came through this morning. And it was this message was about just be mindful, because I kind of got the sense of like it came in a form of me and my kids was visiting somewhere. I don't know if it's like maybe like a timeshare or something like that. Keep that in mind too. Like it can apply, it could be different for everyone. So just take it how it resonates. This is just how it came to me in a dream. So for you, it might be a little bit different. But anyway, so nevertheless, if you should just receive something, should I say, that's out of the norm or the ordinary, that is a very high amount, and you know that it is not worth that amount, be mindful of that. Because what showed up in the dream was, like I said, me and my kids, we were visiting like I felt like it was a timeshare. And when we got there, the lady had told me, she said, well, we're going to charge you this much if you're going to stay here for a week or whatever. We're going to charge you this much. And it was like for the electric bill, she said. And it was like this high amount. It was like $1,000 or something like that. And I was looking at her like, what? But it kind of came in a form as if like I heard what she said, but it's almost like I find myself kind of like just signing off on a disclosure is kind of what it was. So keep that in mind too. So it came in a form that it was a very high amount. So for some of you, you may take and just kind of dismiss what they're saying and go ahead and pay it. But I just feel like it was just a word of cautions or a word of warning to just let you know that and it could be a situation what I'm hearing Spirit say too, that some of you could receive a bill that could be around about $1,000 as well too. So keep that in mind as well too, unexpected bill. So take that how it resonates. But anyway, so just be mindful, and if something is not, just make sure you're not paying more than what it is that you're due to pay, is what I kind of got from that dream. And then so the other dream was and then another dream was, this is pertaining to the one that I said it's important, these next two. So these next two, God was basically coming to me and basically telling me that some of you guys need to allow yourself to get into a very quiet place of meditation, a quiet place of, meditation can be different. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, because just do what works for you. Because what works for me may not work for you, and it's different for everybody. But you need to get in a place of quietness and stillness is what I heard, so that way that you can hear what is to come next. That way you can get your next orders. You know how military people get their next orders of where they're supposed to go next. So God wants some of you guys to get into a quiet place. That means you got to get all the mind chatter, all the people from around you out of your ear, and just get into a quiet, still place, so that you can hear what message he's trying to bring through clearly, is what I heard. So this next dream also refers to the one that I'm about to tell you in a minute too. So this dream came in a form of, God was saying, God had basically said that you're going to find yourself fully transition into this next season in life. So the next season for us right now, but again, take it how it resonates, because this may resonate with some right now, but this may not resonate with everyone right now, meaning that, meaning that depending on where you are on your path, because everything comes in phases. So you may be at a point that maybe you're not at this stage yet, but for some of you, just know, take it how it resonates. So again, some of you guys are gonna fully transition into your fully transition into this next season, is what I heard. So anyway, and now this is the important message that came through, that was in a that dream. So the one with getting still and getting quiet, so that way you can hear what is about to come for you in this next season and phase of your life. Okay, those two are coming with the one I'm about to explain now. That was the important one. So in this next dream, it came in a form as if myself and my spouse in a dream, right? So I found myself being pregnant in a dream, and that ain't true. Like, I'm done with having kids. I love kids. I'm not having any more kids. And I said I didn't want any more kids past 35. And I did not have any more kids past 35. But I love the babies, make no mistake. But anyway, so I'm not delivering any kids, but I'm helping to deliver kids. Let me say that. So anyway, in this dream, I saw myself as if I was pregnant in this dream, right? So for some of you, it's gonna be an actual birth, and for some of you, it's like you're pregnant with ideas, your endeavors, your the things that God has basically, how can I say it? The things that God has placed within your how can I say it? The things that God has placed within your, thank you, Spirit. The things that God has placed within your heart, and things that you're supposed to accomplish. In other words, your endeavors, things that you've been working on behind the scenes that, so anyway, with all that being said, as I said, some of this is applying to some of you. Some of you, it could be an actual birth, or some of you is just pregnant with ideas, your endeavors, and so on and so on. So anyway, so with all that being said, in this dream, I was pregnant, and I remember I felt like I was about to give birth, right? So, but I felt like in the dream, it wasn't me going to a hospital. Nevertheless, that's not the focus part. I went and got a blanket inside the house, and I laid it down on the floor, because it's like I was about to give birth on the floor. I knew I was about to give birth, and it's like I was laying the blanket out so I can give birth on the floor. And then I remember my spouse in the dream saying, I remember him saying something about, like, he was preparing also too, because I was about to deliver, in other words. So I remember hearing him say something like, yeah, because you owe me. And I'm like, what? So first of all, let me address that, because God had actually, I was like, okay, God, where is that coming from? So let me address that part where the spouse was saying that I owe him. In other words, keep this in mind. Nobody owes anybody anything, is what I heard Spirit saying earlier when I was asking, well, what about this, God? How do I deliver this message? Nobody owes anybody anything, okay? So what you do out of the kindness of your heart for somebody, whatever it is. But the other thing you have to realize, that God is only going to pair you up with people who are like-minded and on the same frequency as you. So in other words, if you have done something for somebody and you have really been there for them from the very beginning, from the very lowest to low, and doing this and doing that for that person, you don't have to worry about that. You don't need to say that they owe you. But basically what thank you, Spirit. What you have to understand is, God is just like saying, like is going to attract like. So in other words, if you're that individual who have done, went above and beyond doing stuff for people, don't worry about that. Nobody owes you anything. This person or that person or whoever you feel like owes you is gonna return, and they know what you have done for them and how you have been there for them. So in other words, whether you were somebody who went above and beyond, let's just say hypothetically, in regards to actual birth, if you were somebody who rubbed her feet and you cared for her, you talked to the baby, when she needed a back rub and all that other stuff, she's going to remember all those things. And if it's a situation pertaining to somebody in regards to their endeavors or whatever the case may be, in whatever shape or form that you have helped them and, was in their corner or was there for them, don't worry about that, because it's like, again, like attracts like. So in other words, God is only going to pair you up with somebody who is like-minded just like you. In other words, so if you're somebody who is going to watch and have somebody's back, this person is going to watch and have your back as well too. So keep that in mind. Nobody owes anybody anything. It's just that's how God is delivering it. Like it's going to attract like. So you don't need to worry about that. But anyway, so that was it for that dream. But God had also gave me some other downloads in regards to that the birthing of a dream. So here's the thing. So these are the other notes that God had given me, and it's just giving you something to kind of think about. So hold on one second and read my notes, because I got like all this stuff right here, y'all. Okay, so in other words, I know God had been asking you, some of you guys, to let go of certain things in your life. You know, I know it's going to be different for everybody. So let me just try to make sure I may be jumping all over the place, but just bear with me, because I don't want to lose count and I don't want to re-go over something that I had. So I know that God has asked some of you guys, okay. So what I have here is, okay, so basically God wants to know how serious you are about this next chapter of your life. He wants to know, basically, he wants you to get serious about it. He wants you got to make some moves, in other words. So I say all that to say, thank you, Spirit. So I say all that to say, like, for instance, I told you guys last week, like, there were like a few people that I needed to unsubscribe from their channels, and I did just that. But it also brought to my attention, God was giving me downloads in regards to the same message of being pregnant with, either a birth. Again, that the birth part is not applying to me. So I know birth is also a symbolism of endeavors or an actual birth as well too. So take it how it resonates. It's going to be different for other people. But anyway, so basically it was like God was just telling me to unsubscribe from certain people's channels. So not only that, and here's the thing, is not just applying to me, because he just wants to see if I'm going to be faithful and if I'm going to just stand for my morals and my integrity and my values and self-respect or whatever, and not dumbing myself down in so many words just to listen or hear from somebody or whatever the case may be. So here's the thing. He's not only asking me to do that, he's asking you guys to do that as well too. So whether you unsubscribing from certain people's channel, or whether you unsubscribing from people, that you grew up with, or co-workers, or family members who haven't been supportive, take it how it resonates, because it's going to be different for everybody. So he's testing you to see if you're going to do what it is that he's asked you to do. Because remember, in order to receive blessings, you got to make moves. So in other words, you have to put in the work. So if he's asking you to do something, you have to do it in order to be able to receive that blessing. But don't just do it for a blessing. But anyway, so I clearly remember back for the last 3 years, September, October, November, and December for me. So think back over your life around about those same times, September, October, November, and December. Like, think back on your life of what changed in your life, because I noticed, and God had given me this information as well too, because I had to think about it sometime too. And I was like, you know what? It seemed like a lot of things had kind of changed around about this, or they was at a changing point around about these times of the season last year. The first year for me, September, October, November, December, was a situation of, me getting real and me basically like standing up to my spouse in like real life, in other words, like, and I was just basically telling him that me basically standing up to him. I'm not going to get into the details, but basically me standing up to him, in other words. But anyway, so I say all that to say the next, the following year, it was a situation of me dealing with, around September, October, November, December, I was dealing with a situation of like my hips were bothering me. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I feel like I'm in perfect health, and so on and so on. I exercise, I work out, I walk daily, and I'm out in nature, and so on and so on and so on. But I couldn't figure out where this stuff was coming from. So I was like, what is going on? So during those times, my hips were bothering me so much that it was hurting me to just kind of sit. It was hurting me to kind of like sit for long periods of time. But then I realized, that hips store a lot of emotions there as well too, if you think about it. So I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So that's why. So it was like a lot of stuff that was buried deep down inside from past life after past life, or just stuff even in this lifetime that was just sitting there, unhealed, unstored emotions that was just sitting there in my hips when they were bothering me, They're stored up in your body. So I had to figure out ways to try to release that energy. And then all of a sudden it's like, and then not only that, but it's like God was allowing me to feel certain elements. So it was like two different things going on. It's like it's like stuff was coming up for healing, but at the same time, it's almost like God was also allowing me to feel this until I moved into the next phase of what it was he wanted me to do. So at this point in time, he wanted me to start a website for my business. I was like, Lord, I don't know how to do this. So like everything that I'm doing right now, it's like I'm new to it. It's not that I'm new to it. I've been kind of dealing with it for like the last 3 or 4 years or whatever the case may be, but it's not like having 27 years underneath your belt of, early childhood education or, being a child care provider and so on and so on. It is like, that like the back of your hand. So it's just like God is just throwing me to this uncharted territory. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, how do I navigate? So it's almost like trying to swim and survive in, this energy and learn and grow in a whole different area that I wasn't used to. But anyway, with all that being said, so it wasn't until God was pushing me to start a website. I got the intuitive information to start a website. So I started a website, and then it's like once I moved and did exactly what God asked me to do, my hips had stopped bothering me at that point, because it's like I moved into the next chapter. So yeah, sometimes God is going to allow us to feel a little uncomfortable until we move in the direction of which he would have us to go. And when you don't move, you'll find yourself keep suffering those same different elements and things and uncomfortableness that you don't want to deal with. So that's just a telltale clue sign, just for some of y'all that need to hear that. So how to know that you're on the right track? I mentioned this before, that things will be a little bit easier. There are like no blocks in your way. But when you start feeling different elements and sickness and illness and disease of any kind and all that other stuff, that just lets you know that you're not on the right path. But anyway, because it's like God is trying to push you. So yeah, he will allow you to be uncomfortable until you go into the direction that he's asking you to go. And then the next thing was the following year after that, that same year of the website, it was start a YouTube channel. I was like, all these things were new to me, because the very first year, when I said something about my spouse, God had asked me to open up an Instagram account. I kind of hesitated because I'm very private, and even YouTube, I was a very private person, and he was pushing me to do all these things. So I say all that to say I had to move, and if I did not move, I was going to feel the repercussions and the consequences of not moving. So just to let you guys know, but they were all around about that same time frame: September, October, November, December. So keep that in mind. Think back to your life over the last 3 or 4 years, of around about that same time frame. What was it that God was asking you to do? Because he was asking you to do something. And okay, so, and then even like this year, like I found myself dealing with like a little bit of sciatic nerve or whatever in the back of your leg or whatever, like, and I'm like, okay, come on now, where the hell is that coming from? Just classic example or whatever. So I just been trying to, heal that and work on that and so on and so on. But just a classic example. So just trying to figure out the direction of where he wants me to go next. But anyway, but it's not as worse as it was before, because it's I feel like it's starting to heal or whatever. But then I ask myself, am I overworking myself as well too? So I have to be mindful of that as well too. Because like I said, I walk daily, and then sometimes I run, and then, just stretching and working out and all that other stuff. So sometimes I have to give myself a break because I feel like I overwork some things as well too. Bear with me, y'all. Anyway, so, okay, so the website, YouTube. Okay, and then this last year, 2020, October, actually 2020 period, is almost like classic example. Like, I was filing for child support in regards to, Now, 2020, the whole year, stuff just kept getting pushed back. And it kept getting pushed back because God was just letting me know, well, I'm trying to give him enough time to see if he's going to change his mind or have a different mindset, or is he going to continue to be stubborn? So this happened back in like, I think it was supposed to be February was the original first time in 2020 that we were supposed to go to court. And then it got pushed back to April. April came around. The court still wasn't ready to open up because this is when the pandemic started. So they canceled all court appointments and they pushed it back. And then so again, I had knew, because God was just telling me, I'm trying to give him time. Be patient, because I'm trying to give him time to see if he's going to change his mindset and if he's going to be willing to work with you. So nevertheless, I want to say October, in the month of October of 2020, I received a letter stating that we go to court in, let's say, December 2021 of this year, or whatever. Not December, January 5th of 2021 of this year, should I say. So I say all that to say, so I just want you to, I'm telling you this so that way you can see how each year there's something around September, October, November, December that God is asking you to do, release, or change, or something he's asking you to do before we move into the next season. So anyway, and I had to be obedient because I really didn't want to file for child support, but I felt like I needed to do that, not only because, because it was a part of my path, and it was almost like, how can I say it? It's almost like some of us can be a little too nice sometimes, and then sometimes you give people breaks, but then people walk all over that. Let me just say that, but I say all that to say, so it's almost like I had to do this in order to get a chain reaction out of him, in other words. So in other words, everything was being divinely guided. So like I said, for real, as I was explaining, that wasn't something that I really wanted to do, but it was a part of my life path. It was a part of me taking back my power, or whatever the case may be. So keep that in mind as well too. But not only it was teaching me a lesson, but it was also teaching him a lesson as well too. Anyway, let's move on. So the next one is okay. So just think back over your life to around about those same time frames. Again, September, October, November, December, because I know God has asked some of you guys to do something, whether it's pertaining to a job, whether it's pertaining to be to sustain from sex, whether it be to stop smoking, whether to be stop drinking, thank you, Spirit, whether it be to walk away from a certain job, whether it be to release certain friends, whether it be to release certain co-workers, whether it was to release certain neighbors, whether it was to release no offense to anybody and no judgment to anybody, whether it was releasing, coming down off of the pole, pole dancing, whether it was releasing lying, whether it was releasing stealing, whether it was releasing cheating, whether it was releasing porn addictions, whether it was releasing sleeping around with friends with benefits. So those are all the downloads that had came through. So whatever it was that God has asked you to do each year, just know that he has been asking you to do something here, something here, something here, and it's all going to come together for the greater good. And what I also heard Spirit say too, that some of you guys didn't even realize that you were able to get over some of these addictions, should I say. Some of you didn't even realize that you can overcome some of these addictions that you actually had for years, whatever they may be, because addiction comes in all forms, food, overdoing things. So it doesn't matter. But anyway, so yeah. In case you haven't noticed, each year. So, okay. In case you haven't noticed, each year you have been asked to give up something that has been holding you back in your life, slowly but surely. So that's part of the message that came through. And these things are like, it's like they're gradually faded. Everything I just named, just imagine they're gradually fading away. You're handling a couple of things at one time, they're fading away. Now you got a few more things to conquer, they're fading away, in other words. And then there was, what was it at? Things that have been... Oh, okay, so I'm sorry. So all of those are you guys were being asked to release certain things just for the times as such as now, which are which is all part of the divine's great plan, should I say. And then oh shit, where did I start this at? I'm sorry, y'all, got so much stuff on here. I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, told y'all. Okay, so in other words, God is like telling you guys He's removing everything out of your life that's no longer in alignment with you, because as I said before in another message, because God wants to bless you, and He will bless you. It's just a matter of, will you allow Him to bless you, because He's requiring something from you as well too. It's like balancing the scales. You can't just take, you have to give something too, in other words. And it's going to be different for everybody, because everybody's situation is going to be different. Oh, okay, thank you, Spirit. And then this is a part of that message as well too. So when I said something about the being pregnant with endeavors and goals, aspirations, and dreams, and the things that God had placed within your heart or whatever. So I did, as an example, thank you, Spirit. As an example, this was part of the notes and part of the download. So here's an example. Some of you are being persuaded with the option of, will you take, excuse me, y'all. Will you take, oh God. Let me say this. Some of you guys, thank you, Spirit. Some of you guys are being tested. Let me say that. Some of you guys are being tested. You're being tested to the point of, God wants to know, are you gonna allow yourself to be controlled by society, or will you stand up for yourself? Because I do know this for sure. There are a few people in my life. Let me give you an example. And I guess that's the reason why God gave me this download. And let me be quick, because they're at 26 minutes. There's a few people that I know that was mentioning to me that they are talking about, I know a lot of jobs are talking about making mandatory vaccinations for people. I even know, and I just say this to say, because I've had conversations with a few people that has actually said that. But also, I also realized that, what is his name? Is it Kyrie? I think it is, a basketball player. And I only say that because I know my son watches, basketball or whatever. But I say all that to say, even, just him sitting down, if I'm saying his name right, forgive me, because I don't watch basketball like that. But anyway, but with the gentleman who's choosing not to get vaccinated, he has his free will. And everybody has their free will. He just knows what's for him and what's not for him. And I guess he's willing to take that bench, and he's willing to take that knee in order to stand up for his own morals, his value system, and not allow somebody to bully him into doing something that he knows he really doesn't want to do. So it's not about the vaccination. It's about somebody trying to bully you into doing something that you are not choosing to do, but they're trying to make it mandatory for you to do, should I say. And I don't want to stay on that subject too much, but I know that that's the information that was given to me. So I say all that to say, again, some of you guys are going to be presented with the choice of, will you allow yourself to be bullied and pressured into doing something that you know that you really don't want to do, or that you know that you wouldn't normally do, should I say. So by doing, we all have free will. So nobody should be bullied into any situation of doing something against their own free will. I don't care who it is. So, out of respect to the gentleman who's choosing to sit on a bench, hell, that would be me, because I guess my ass will be sitting on the bench, because I'm not about to do something that I know I don't want to do, and not to be forced by somebody else to tell me that I have to do it. So when we do something against our own free will, when we're doing something that somebody else wants us to do, we're basically saying that we're powerless. So we're giving away our power, in other words. But when you're standing up like that gentleman is doing and choosing to not get vaccinated, or whatever the case may be, it's his prerogative. It's each is to own, you're standing in your power. But again, if you're forced to do it and you want to do it, well, if you're being forced to do it, that's a different story. But if that's something that you want to do, then that's a different story because you want to do it. But if you know within your heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit that you don't want to and you're doing it, then you're doing it against your own free will. Anyway, so let's move on from that topic. But what else? Let's see. And thank you, Spirit. And this was the reason why God was just asking so many of you guys to release attachment to like money, material possessions. And not saying that God is not about blessing people, because he is. But when you release yourself from attachments, nobody has power and authority to hold anything over top of you saying, hey, well, you need this, don't you? Don't you need this? In other words, so that's why he want you to release attachments. And I'll give you a quick story real quick, and I'm not going to get into the full detail, but I'm gonna just tell you how I had to release attachments and not to depend on certain things, because there was once upon a time that somebody was using something against me, like, yeah, well, I do this and I do that, well, I'll stop doing this and I'll stop doing that. And then it would be a situation of where it would have left me hanging dry, in other words. But I had to trust God and say, you know what? I don't care what they say at this point in time. I'm going to trust you, God, and I know that you're going to have my back. And God actually had my back. So that was a situation that I really had to ponder on and really had to think about, because I was like, whoa, if this person does this, it really would affect my life, in other words. So I say all that to say, but I had to let them know that they did not have power over me, and I had to do just the opposite. So it wasn't only, I had to not only talk it, but I had to walk it. So I say all that to say, some of you guys are going to be faced with a opposition of, will you oh God, I'm drawing a blank right now. Will you walk the same talk, in other words? So in other words, time is about to come. But let me just tell you this. Just know that God has your back. That's all I can tell you. God has your back. And I know as hard as hell as it may seem, and it may seem like, oh my God, shit, fuck, what the hell am I going to do? I may be left out here. Trust God, because he has a plan. If you make that one move, he's going to make sure that because you made that one move, that everything else is going to be in place. And I say all that to say, some of you guys are being asked to help support people within their endeavors, or, again, it's an actual birth for some. And then for some, you're being asked to help support others in their endeavors and, in the things that God has so placed within their heart. So I say all that to say, because not only will they benefit from it, but you will also benefit from it too. So keep that in mind too, because that's the moral of the story. God is giving you a choice, and he's giving you an option of a way out, in other words. So some of you can decide to continue on that path of, thank you, Spirit. And I'm also hearing too that you don't know how it's going to end, because what Spirit just reminded me of too, that some of you guys may find yourself, if you don't want to, you may find yourself, if you should take this vaccination, should I say, there could be a chance that you may be doing it and you still may lose your job. And I say all that to say, because a job could be closing down. The job could be shutting down. Some institutions and stuff are being shut down. That was the information that was being given to me